Righto folks, welcome back to the channel. About to give a client a call and I thought I'd just take this video because I feel like I'm a fucking broken record these days. Clients sign up, typical clients. I mean, if you're on 100, 150 grand income, banks will lend you, 700, 800,000. Most clients just trying to get in the door, build a portfolio, but only have 50, 60 grand worth of cash, which is fine. You can get in, you can build the phase one portfolio, but everyone seems to be adamant to buy a house or a 2-bedroom, and they don't want to buy a 1-bedder. The 1-bedders are the best to get started. They have the highest yields, lowest entry price. I just bought one for 265 in a metro market. Replacement cost of it, 700-800 grand. Developers don't build them anymore as much. They still do. They more so need to do affordable housing part of their percentage to get signed off through council. But most developers these days build 2, 3, and even 4-bedroom apartments, because by the time they go and build it, it'll cost them more than what it's worth in the market. So there's a restriction of supply, and there's an ever-growing demand for affordable stock. We're a growing and aging population. People need to live somewhere. I've got many 1-bedders. I've got a whole block of them, and they're always rented. And whenever one goes vacant, I've always got half a dozen applicants. They got the highest yields, 7, even 8%, because the price is low relative to the market, and they still rent out for at least $400 a week. So if you can get them in the 200s and rent them out in the 400s, you're making a solid return yield. And the banks value property handful of ways, based off comparable sales, but then also based off the yield. 20 times earnings or a 5% yield is fair value for property, and it's how the banks also value it. So if you buy a property and get it rented, get it stabilized and running right, get it returning 7, 8%, you can easily refinance the loan, draw equity, 50, 60, 80 grand back out, away you go. Property number 2, 3, and so on. So don't listen to your uncle, don't listen to your dad or whoever who's saying, buy a house or something with land. Property is a game of finance just as much as it is buying actual deals. You need to buy the deals that will allow you to get into property number 2, 3, so on. Looked up how many people have an investment property. 7.8% of people in Australia have an investment property. Out of that 7.8, 70% have one. Less than 10 have 2, 4 or 5% have 3, 2% have 4, and less than 1% have 5 or more properties. And I was just thinking, why is that? Why is so many people get stuck? And the main reason is why most people get stuck is because they have 700, 800 grand, $1 million worth of capacity to go buy a property. They've got 50, 60 grand worth of cash, but they're fixated on buying a house or something with a backyard, and they max themselves out. They might even use the bank of mum and dad because they don't have the cash for the deposit, so they get a parent guarantor, max themselves to the gills, buy a property that's probably overvalued with a low yield, and then get stuck with finance for many years. That's not what you want to do. If you want to build a long-term sustainable portfolio, build the phase one portfolio. So even if the banks will lend you more money, even if you got the capacity, doesn't necessarily mean it's a wise decision to go use that all in one go. It's just like building a campfire. Start small with the kindling. That's the individual unit villa townhouses, 1-bedders. They're the best. And then we'll give the portfolio time to take, get high yields. The banks will then lend you more money. You'll be able to grow your borrowing power with high yields. And then ease into bigger deals, ease into houses. Houses are good, they have stable growth over time, but there's always a time to buy every type of property. And now, in this current market, houses are not the best deals because the yields are between 4 to 5% if you're lucky. Prices have exploded over the last couple of years and have compressed the yields. So it'll be a strain on your borrowing power, not only to cash flow it, but also when you buy a house and you buy one site, the banks factor in a risk profile owning the whole site. So as an example, if you bought a house and the roof need replacing, that could be 60 grand job, that's all in one owner. Versus if you buy a unit in a block of 10 and the roof needs replacing, that could be 100, 150 grand exercise, but that's shared across 10 owners. So the risk is 10, 15 grand. So you'll find your serviceability will go further if you buy individual properties, especially early on, so you can grow out your borrowing power and preserve your borrowing power over time, and then give your portfolio time to take. Give it time for the equity build up. That's like coals, ambers, building up in a campfire. Give it time for the cash flow to build up, the yields to rise. That's like the flame and oxygen to your campfire. And then over time, slowly load it up with larger deals. That's like slowly loading up a campfire with larger and larger pieces of timber to allow it to be self-sufficient and then grow slowly over time. And then you'll find that your initial borrowing power of 6, 7, 800 grand will grow to being 2, 3, 4, 5 million. Versus if you go out and buy one property, one house with all your capacity, that is like trying to start a campfire with a log and a match, which is why most people get stuck at 1 or 2. So, you know, I have this same conversation with pretty much every newbie that starts. They want to buy a house, they want to buy a 2-bedroom, they want a villa, they've got the borrowing power, but they might have not enough cash, but they'll use the bank of mum and dad. Someone might give them some money. I was like, that's great. If you can get money out of your parents, that's great. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a wise decision to go into a house early on, because it's only going to slow yourself down from property number 2, 3, and so on. And then you'll be like 99% of people who get stuck at 1 or 2 properties, and it doesn't work. If you want to make property investing work, you need to build a solid foundation portfolio. And then off the back of that, you can then build phase 2, which is blocks of apartments. It's just like playing Monopoly. 4 greenhouses, 1 hotel. In our case, get your hands on a couple of individual units, villas, townhouses, a couple of houses. Ultimately, you want to land in blocks of apartments. That's the best of both worlds. You get solid cash flow, solid growth, development upside. It's the best of both worlds. That's where you can ease into even commercial. You can start buying bigger deals. But ultimately, you need to build a solid foundation to allow you to buy back your time. Take time off work. You might want to start a business, do a side hustle, give you flexibility. You won't be tied to your job. You'll be able to go out to the marina on a nice day and enjoy yourself, enjoy your time, and not be tied and a slave to the employer for the rest of your life, what most people do. So if you want help building a long-term sustainable portfolio, don't listen to your uncle or your dad who fucking never did shit. Find someone that you can resonate with that has done it and believe in their process and their strategy, because for 99% of people, they don't do it. So if you want to be in the 1% with 5+ investment properties and build your wealth, everyone can do it. Everyone should do it. Everyone should build out their wealth, not only for them, but their family and children and generations to come. Get in touch today. Thanks for watching.